Okay, hi everybody. Today we're going to have a look at maybe creating a new layout system for LocalGov Drupal. Now this isn't necessarily what will end up in LocalGov Drupal, but I think it might be a good starting point for a conversation. At the moment we're using Bootstrap for our layout system. I really don't like Bootstrap, but I won't get into the reasons why or not just now. What we're going to look at now. I think can be relevant whether we use Bootstrap. Sorry, not whether we use Bootstrap or not. Whether you use LocalGov Drupal or not. So this is kind of my approach towards a layout system that I think is very easy to use. We're going to create maybe I think 30 lines or so of CSS. It's going to be based on the Gov UK design system and the NHS UK design system. So if we look at Gov UK front end, I think it is. Down around here, and I think components, but I'm not sure. No, let's look at styles maybe. Styles, layout, screen size, common components, 2/3. Yeah. So this kind of approach. So you can see here, this takes up 2/3 of the screen, and this section, the sidebar takes up 1/3 of the screen. What I like about the CSS for this is that you get a wrapper class called GovUK grid row, and then inside that you get two more divs, and I like the way they're named. One is called column 2/3 and one's called column 1/3. And naming like this means it's very easy to see what's what, or to understand what's what. I don't like the Bootstrap way of doing MD-6, LG-4 and things like that. And this carries on then for, no matter what kind of columns you want. Let's see, there's should be layouts down here somewhere else with. Yeah, so here we go, a grid column that takes up half of the screen. So this is called column 1/2. And later on we've got one for 1/3, and of course this is called column 1/3, and you can put two columns of 1/3 or 1/2 each beside each other, and of course they'll make up a full width then. So we've got 1/2 here. If I duplicate this, you can see down we get one side by side. So I'd like to use that kind of approach within LocalGov Drupal, and if not, it's the kind of thing I think we could use on any website anyway. So if we look at the NHS design system, that's fairly similar. So we can check here and we can look at the NHS design system is actually based on the Gov UK design system. So it's the Gov UK design system with stuff, let's call it, on top of it. So if we look at styles here, I think it is, and layout, let's close down the inspector. Let's see, we've got their grid system, which is kind of the same again. So this one is called NHS UK grid row rather than the other one, which was Gov UK grid row, I think. I'm not sure now. And this is column full, so it takes up the full width of the screen. And then we got column 1/2, column 2/3. So it's very similar to the Gov UK one, except the prefix there classes with NHS UK rather than Gov UK. So let's look at something similar for this. So at the moment, this website here is using LocalGov team, LocalGov_team it's called, and it uses Bootstrap for its layout. So if we inspect the CSS here, we should see a main content area. Let me grab something a bit bigger here. So we should see the main content area here, and that has col MD8. So that means this column on a medium screen will take up 8 columns, or this div will take up 8 columns on a medium-sized screen, or a medium-sized screen and up. And the sidebar, I guess, then is up here, a bit higher, is it? Here it is. And we're saying on a medium screen this takes up 4. So that's basically taking up 1/3 of the screen, and the other one takes up 2/3 of the screen. Yeah, we can see that here with flex 003333. I would actually prefer if this was something like flex 4, so it takes up 4 times this one here, which we could say then would be Where's it gone here? Flex 8, and that's basically the same thing. I think that's much easier to read. I'm not sure why we have those kind of percentages as well, but anyway, let's not worry about it. Let's start writing some code instead. So we're going to create a new team for LocalGov Drupal, and that new team is going to be called LocalGov_base. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to, this isn't the actual file that's going to end up in the repo, but just to kind of show what we're going to be creating eventually. LocalGov_base / localgov_base.info.yaml. So this will give us our theme. As always with all these, I can never remember what goes up here, so I'm going to grab these. So this is going to be called LocalGov base. I'll call this LocalGov base. The other one there I was copying from is just a demo kind of proof of concept I was working on internally in Enertech to check out some things. So LocalGov Drupal, yeah. So let's now. What I'm going to say is that the LocalGov_team. So the base team for this team here is going to be this team here that we can see. So when I enable this team, it should be the exact same. Should hopefully look the exact same as what we have here. So to do that, I need to grab the LocalGov theme regions to make sure we have the same regions in both teams. So let's grab them from here and drop them in here. Now if I come to my appearance page and I install our new team, so that's LocalGov base, I'm going to install that. I think I can install and set as default, but I sometimes have issues with blocks not getting placed properly, so I'll go with the two-step approach instead. So this is LocalGov base here, and this is using LocalGov Drupal default theme as its base, which in turn, as it happens, uses LocalGov Drupal skeleton as its base. So let's set this one here as the default theme. Okay, hopefully nothing will be broken. We don't get any errors here saying that blocks have been assigned to the incorrect region. So if I refresh this page, this should be the exact same as it was. Okay, that looks good. Now let's see. So now we want to say where do we go from here? We're going to need some. I'm going to need a new library, aren't I? So I'll get a LocalGov_base.libraries.yaml, and we'll call this one here grid, and it's got CSS that is under layout, which can be found in CSS / layout / grid.css, and no extra. Nothing extra goes in here. Okay, and that means then we need to also create a file at css / layout / grid.css. All right, and at the moment, all the templates that this theme here is using are the templates coming from LocalGov theme. So what I'm going to do is let's grab the LocalGov. Let us grab the LocalGov theme page file, which I think is in system page.html.twig. Okay, so I'm going to copy all of that. So I'm going to just copy the file itself, and I'll paste this inside template / layout. What's going here? So now page.html.twig is here, and I'm going to clear our cache, and that should pick up the new template for us. So now our template should be reading as coming from our LocalGov base instead. Your caches are cleared. Let's just check that the template is the correct one that's being picked up. So up near the top here we should have a page.html.twig file here. Okay, so this is begin output from themes, custom, LocalGov base, templates, layout, page.html.twig. Okay, so everything is still the exact same as it had been, except we're missing the logo. I'm not worried about that. We can fix that up easily when we need to. So we've got lots of, it's because, yeah, we're missing the logo because we're missing what goes in the header here. Okay, I don't think it really matters actually. Let's get a copy of all the regions we've got here, except disabled. I'm sure disabled won't be getting shown. So these are all the different regions that we've got. So in my page.html.twig, I'm going to paste in all of these regions. Start getting funky with some VS Code. And okay, so that should print all of our regions with no classes around them. So let's refresh the page. And we get absolutely nothing. I know what we're missing. Okay, so we're missing page dot header dot search, etc. So let's refresh our page again. Okay, this looks good. So now we've got pretty much the same as what we had a few moments ago in terms of content, but we're missing all our layout. So what we want to do is let's see, will we create the CSS first, or will we create the let's create the CSS first. So in grid.css, actually I need to attach this as a library as well, don't I? lib, and then LocalGov underscore base slash grid, we call that, I think. Alright, and grid, I'm going to say body is background color red. Just want to make sure that this is actually working. It's not there, and we'll flush the caches. And still not working. Okay. Why is it not working? Is it being overridden by something else, I wonder? So we'll have a look at our body. Background color red. Excellent. So it looks like the library is picked up and would work, except it's being overridden from somewhere else. Okay, so that means the library is working. Now, what we're going to do is if you look at the GovUK guidelines, they say everything remains in one column until it gets to a certain size. So what we'll say is, I think with the the NHS UK, I think their system is anything over 48 EMs or something like that, which it's basically 768 pixels, or anything more than a tablet, then things can start slotting into columns. So let's say we put this inside a media query, and it's a screen media query, and min width. I might go with 768 pic. Will I? No, we'll go with 48 M's. Is not what it is. It's actually 0.0625 M's, I think, officially. Will we go with that? We'll let's look at this. We can fix up that later on. So we're going to create our own LocalGov Drupal row. So let's say we're going to have a class called that. I could call it LocalGov underscore base, but let's go LGD. Just makes it a little bit quicker. So this is going to be an LGD row. So LocalGov Drupal row. And what we're going to say, that is a display flex. But it can have a flex wrap of a wrap, so it allows things to go onto more than one line if it needs to. And then within the I'm kind of following the NHS one kind of closely here. Within the NHS one, then they say that we got a margin left, and margin left of, we'll say -1 REM, and the margin, actually margin right should come first, shouldn't it? Margin right of -1 REM, and that's just what we need for the row itself. Then inside that row we've got different sizes. So if we're going to follow the BEM naming conventions, we need to have these as elements. So we'll have LGD row full, and that can be what's that going to be? It's going to be the width of that will be 100%. No, it'll be a calc. All these will be calcs, so that this negative margin here gets compensated for. So it'll be a calc of 100% minus 1 REM. Or the -2 REMs. Margin left. Put it back. Let me see. The main one has minus that, and then yeah. Let's go with that for what should be percent. Let's actually have a look at. We have a look at that. Yeah, we could have a look at that now inside here. So if we say the main content area, where's that content here? We'll give this a div.lgd row and div.lgd row full. Just want to check what happens here. It's going to be 100%, isn't it? What do I need to put around that then? Oh, yeah. We're going to need a container. Okay, so let's. We probably should have had a container set up originally. So let's say if we had a .container class, we call this LGD container, just so it doesn't conflict with any other libraries or anything like that. So if we're going to say that the max width for that was 960 pixels. So I'm going to do all this in pixels just for now here, just to, I find it a little easier to understand it. So the max width of the container is going to be 960 pixels, and then the actual, if the screen is more than a tablet, then this starts kicking in. Okay, and then we come back to page.html.twig. So we need to have a div.lgd container here. We'll wrap that around these. Where is my main area? Let's have a look here. What's the CSS telling me? Region content, LGD container. Ah, very good, yeah. Okay, so then the container needs to have a margin right auto and a margin left auto. Can be tricky sometimes to remember all these things off the top of your head when you're trying to live code at the same time. So that looks good. That's positioned this into place for us now. Now we've got a sidebar here. So if this sidebar is going to need to be what we say for 33%, so that would be one third. So let's create a few more classes here. So if it's a full row, it's going to be 100% minus 1 REM. I think that's what it is anyway. Yeah. So we could say that each of the LGD. What I'm trying to do here is say that we can have margin between each row item, so between the sidebar and the main content area, and I want that to be one REM. So I'm going to say that LGD row, whatever the first descendant child of that is, so I don't care, let's say whether it's full or whether it's 1/3 or 2/3, each of those is going to have a margin left of 0.5 rem. Now we I think later on we'll probably have these as variables, so it will be calc dash spacing, something like that, divided by 2, and then whatever spacing is set per team. It could be 1 rem, it could be 6 rems, it could be 3 pixels. That this will still work, but just for the point of view, this is going to be a half a rem, and then on the right hand side, so margin right is going to have a half a rem each. So that means each of these items, the sidebar and the main content, or if this was a grid of, say, box links or a listing of cards, they will all have a half a rem of margin on the left and a half a rem of margin on the right, giving it 1 rem in total. And because it gets that 1 rem in total, then we can use this negative 1 rem here to make sure things don't fall outside their containers if everything goes right. So that means then that this LocalGov Drupal row full here will automatically inherit margin left and margin right of 0.5 of an rem. It's actually this one here that yes, and this gives then what this will be 100% minus 1 rem, which allows it to have its 0.5 and 0.5 over here. So if we were to say then that we need rows for LGD row underscore 1/4, and that will be width of, again, calc what's 1/4? 25% minus 1 rem for a quarter, and then we're going to need to do the same. Let's copy these a few times. Quarter, 1/2, 1/3, 2/3, and 3/4, and then full. I think that's what we need. So 1/4, 1/3, 1/2, 2/4 will be 1/2, 2/3 will be the next size, and then 3/4. And so 1/3 will be 33%, 1/2 will be 50%, 2/3 will be oh, this is tricky. This is 2/3 will be 100% divided by 2/3 100% divided by 3 and multiplied by 2 minus 1 rem, and then 3/4 will be 75%, and then if it's full it will be 100%. Okay, so let's give ourselves a tiny bit of space here between each of these, and I think that's all we need for our grid system. As far as I know, that's it. That's our, we'll say, what's our 43 lines of CSS, including about 12 lines of spaces. So that to me is worth, that's worth keeping if we can have something like this that well, presuming it works. So let's come back to our page.html.twig. Let's actually just refresh this page. Nothing should have changed here at all. Okay, nothing changed here. Now we've got information here in our sidebar first, neighborhood, price, category, etc. So if we come over here, we're going to see sidebar first is here. So sidebar first should be beside, let's for argument's sake put it beside page.content. Now this is inside a full row here. So inside this now we're going to need to create another row. So we're going to get div.lgd row, I think. Yep. And that's going to wrap the sidebar. Actually, maybe I don't need that one, do I? No, I don't. What I need to do instead is remove this again, This LGD row full will become 1/3 that's for the sidebar. Yeah, and then div dot LGD row 2/3 for the page content. I think that should do it for this. Excellent. Now, I think this looks like a very simple way to do a grid system. It's just dropping in very, very simple 1/3, 2/3, 1/2, 2, 3/4, whatever type classes, and we get our layout. Let's make sure it works then when we're on small screen. So on small screen, it stays like this. And then on a larger screen, when we come to tablets or laptops or whatever, the layout starts kicking in. Okay, so how would we do this then with, we've got two sidebars, not just one sidebar. So I don't want to put I don't want to put a layer class around the whole thing, because I want to just work on I want to show this as a proof of concept only, and I want to work only on the main content area. So let's do something like we'll set a few classes for our sidebar. So let's, at the top of the page up here, we're going to set has sidebar first. Okay, so that means, if there's something in the first sidebar, so that will equal page dot sidebar first. If we render that region and then we strip the tags out of it, strip tags, and then we trim it. And if that is not empty, this is a little bit tricky actually. We came across this, I think I might have said it in a different video as well. Actually, I think it was the one I recorded on Twitch last week that didn't actually record it, I live streamed. We came across this doing the umami demo umami distribution, that if you just have page.sidebar first, it will render, because of Drupal's render array for contextual links and attributes will show something. So you need to kind of render it and then strip out the tags and then trim it. And after doing all that, if it's empty, then we know it's empty. Sorry, if it's not empty, we know it's got something in it. So that's has sidebar first. We'll do the same with has sidebar second. We also need to do then set has sidebar. So it's very possible that there'll be no sidebar at all used on some pages. So what we'll do there then is that if that equals has sidebar first and has sidebar second. So no, has sidebar first or has sidebar second. So if there's something in the first sidebar or the second sidebar, that means we know we have a sidebar. If there's something in the first sidebar, then yeah, we have sidebar first, and if something in the second sidebar, we have sidebar second. Okay, so with that much, then let's come down to look at our main content section here. So we've got the container that's wrapping around our kind of main area. I guess we probably should have a yeah. Well, let's put it anyway. This should be a main element here. For semantics, I mean, it doesn't matter a huge amount here for a proof of concept, but we'll stick it into a main anyway, just so we've got that. And we've got the skip, what's called a skip to link that goes to main content. So that could also main ID equals main content. So our skip to link will get to that. Okay, that looks decent. Now we're going to say next LGD row will stay where it is, because we always want the container, and then it's what size each of the item is inside the container. So we're going to say that if has sidebars, so if there is a sidebar in it, we'll do sidebar stuff, and if not, so that goes inside, isn't it? Yeah, else. And if there's not a sidebar in it, so if we've got no sidebar, then we want to render page.content with LGD row full, so it'll be 100%. Okay. So if there's a sidebars, we're going to do some stuff. So what we're going to do is, if has sidebar first and not has sidebar second. So if there is a first sidebar but not a second sidebar, so that's what we can see here at the moment. This sidebar here is there, but there's no sidebar over here on the second, on the right hand side. If that's the case, then we want to am I missing a they should all be in one. Okay, so if it has sidebar first but it doesn't have a sidebar second, we want div.lgd row 1/3, and that will then print the, actually this is what we want, isn't it? Exactly what's here. Okay, get these back in position. So that's if we have the first sidebar but we don't have a second sidebar, we want to have a 1/3 column followed by a 2/3 column. On the other hand, let's copy this again. If we have sidebar second and we don't have sidebar first, I'm going to swap these around. Now we could maybe do this with a flexbox or something instead to, row reverse or whatever. But I'm going to presume that the content designers have decided that what's in the sidebar first should be read first, and what's in the main content comes next. What's in the main content should be read first, and what's in the second sidebar should be read last. So this will render sidebar second. And then we got one more, which is if we have a sidebar second and we have sidebar first, and let's put these back to first and second just for readability. So if it has a first sidebar and it has a second sidebar, then we're going to render the first sidebar first, so sidebar first. Then we're going to render the main page content. Then we're going to render the sidebar second, and these are going to be both 1/4, and this one here is going to be 1/2. So let's then we've got our else there, and if. So I'm going to put in a comment here for myself for later on. This begins sidebars, and then down at the end here, this ends the sidebars. I think that's good. Let's refresh our page here and see that nothing has broken, and it hasn't. Now let's this is on the events page. Let's move this to the second sidebar just to see, does that work? Sidebar first, so this goes to sidebar second. Save, and it didn't work. Okay, because we got sidebar second down here for some reason. Let's see where we've gone wrong. We're printing sidebar second here for some Y. So let's get rid of that and refresh. Now town hall meeting upgrade. I'm after losing lots of things actually. What did I lose? I've lost my categories and whatnot. And that's in region sidebar first. Okay, well that HTML looks okay if it's in sidebar first. Let's go back and see what it says. Sidebar first. Let's leave that there. Let's come, do you know what? Something has broken in the block. This isn't the fault of the team, I don't think. Sidebar second should have exposed form, LocalGov events listing, page all events. Let's put this back to sidebar first. Expose form local events. I could be using a bad example here because I actually haven't looked at the events module very much. I'm not sure exactly what's where and why. So LocalGov events, search events page, search all events. Events cost, events neighborhood, events category are all still in sidebar first. Let's save this and refresh this page and see. Okay, we got back everything here. They're all in sidebar first. Let's see what goes into sidebar second. You know, I'm going to just pop in a. Where is it gone? Sidebar first, sidebar second. News date in facets. I wonder, does that mean if we create a news post, we should see. Let's see what happens here. This is a test news post. I think that we should see the news, the date that the news is published in the sidebar. So 29th of the 4th, 2021. We can ignore categories, image, and doesn't really matter. Story. Sure, let's see what happens when we pop in some lorem ipsum in there. And related articles, I guess we'll have none since we've no news posts. Select from a list. Image. Okay, maybe I need to have an image. If I what do we have? So let's take a screenshot of this itself. The image and the alt text. And can I just save this and insert? Now hopefully I don't need to select from a list here. This will set the thumbnail image to one from this list, but only if the thumbnail is left blank. Okay, I'm guessing this is the thumbnail and it's not blank, so let's save that. Cool. So now we've got a right sidebar showing here, and we should have main content, LGD row, LGD 2/3 and 1/3. That's nice, I'm happy with that. And then if we had something in both sidebars, let me see, sidebar first, I might put in a block that was on use date. Date facets. Is that what that was called? Sidebar first, sidebar second. News date from facets. And we got the news search form. Okay, let's maybe pop in the news search form. That looks like it should work. News. Exposed form, LocalGov news, page news. Let's see. And sidebar first, and only show this on news articles. Let's see, let's refresh. Wrong one. Refresh this one. Okay, looks good. So do we now have a sidebar first here? Sorry, we have a layout 1/4, layout 1/2, layout 1/4. So this looks like it's working. As far as I can see, this is a very, very simple layout system, but it works exactly as we would like it to work, and we can just change these classes anytime we want then to make things 1/3 or you know 1/2 and things like that. Let's make that a half. Yeah. And then we've got our flex wrap here, which will allow things to wrap to the next column if we need to. That will be handy later on if we have something like the box links and we want to have 6 of them. So you want 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, and then the next one, if they're all 1/3 each, we don't want them going into a big long straight line and causing horizontal scroll. Okay, that's it for this, I think. We could make this into a custom module. If this was a module, then any other modules or any other templates we have could use this system. Or anyone outside of LocalGov Drupal could use this system as well. And it would also mean that if we're using Layout Builder or Layout Paragraphs, I think we are using, that those layouts would actually work in the admin team as well, since the CSS is coming from a module rather than from a team. But I think that's probably more up for discussion. Even the idea of using this is up for discussion. But I think it's if mostly what we're using Bootstrap for, or most what people in general use Bootstrap for, is layout classes and for creating sidebars and creating layouts inside layouts, I would much prefer to be able to use something like this, which is, like we saw, 40 lines of very, very simple CSS. So I think I'll leave it at that for now. I'm going to check if there's any questions or hellos. No one has joined us. Oh, we got 3 viewers, whoever they are. Hello, everybody. Okay, I'm going to quit this and I'm going to upload it to... Hey Mark, can I say hello back? Howdy. Any questions? Scaven Dan, I wonder, do I know that person? Just lurking. Ooh. Oh, jippers, we're getting popular now. We're getting popular. Alga Lord VK. And hey guys. Well, that's 2/3 of my audience has now interacted with me. Could we get 100%? Whoever the last person is. What's this? I don't Pog Champ. I wonder what that is. I don't understand all these Twitch emojis. I'm going to have to up my Twitch game. Okay, I'm cancelling, and this will be on YouTube later on. Thanks everybody. Bye.